Since the release of CSGO, well over 100 maps have came and gone from the game's rotation. And I don't know about you, but as someone who's been playing the game for around a decade now, it definitely doesn't feel like it. For me, it's felt like I've been playing the same 8 maps for almost the entire time, and I barely remember any maps that have been removed, let alone over 100. So this got me thinking, what maps have I, and possibly even you, completely forgotten about? Now, going through the entire list of 170 maps, there were a couple that definitely stood out to me, but there was no other map that stood out to me quite as much as Zoo. Released in 2015 and set in the Bay Area styled wildlife park, the map featured many different animal exhibits, with the only animal that could actually be seen being the various fish. Now, the map was mainly divided into 2 parts, with one half of the map being held outside, with A side situating in a very open lion exhibit, while the other half of the map was purely indoors, alongside with the B side, which was inside the aquarium itself. Now, to be honest, this map wasn't really anything special, but the reason why this stood out to me from all other maps is because it used to be my absolute favorite map back in 2015. Now, to be fair, I was a naive 12-year-old at the time, and I had no clue what actually made a map good. I honestly just think I liked the vivid colors and the simplicity of the layout. But the truth was that this map was a completely awful map for competitive, although as a casual map it was kinda perfect. Now moving on to one of the most innovative maps I've ever seen, Insertion. This hostage map first released in 2014, and what made it so special was the fact that rather than having set pathways like every other map, Insertion took place in a large open area that was completely covered with thick fog to make snipers less viable. The map consisted of a few small cottages at the center of the map, surrounded by a shore at the top and 2 large forested hills on both sides, while also having a road running across the right and bottom side of the map. Although this wasn't the only reason why the map was so unique. You were also able to choose where you spawned. As a CT, you had 4 options, either near a helicopter at the bottom of the map, 2 SWAT vans on the top and bottom parts of the road, or a boat near the shore. All the T's were a bit more limited, having just 2 options, either near the barn or the main house. I honestly loved this map because it played so differently from any other map in the game. You were completely free to pick wherever you spawned, and you had to work around the minimal cover available, like rocks and trees. Next we got Castle. Released in 2014, this map was based off the real-life castle in Slovenia. And while the map definitely looked good, especially for its time, there really wasn't anything else positive to say about it. It failed in every other aspect in my opinion. So essentially, one half of the map situated inside the castle itself, while the other half consisted of an awful cave system that was a bit confusing and had way too many dark corners where players could hide in. Not to mention the callouts on this map were actually laughable. For example, we got cave entrance, upper caves, upper A, lower cave, cave stairs, well stairs, balcony stairs, upper balcony stairs, balcony, upstairs, mid and mid stairs. I feel like this had to be a joke. But surprisingly, this wasn't bad enough, because the rotation times were somehow even worse. So on average, rotation from one side to another usually takes around 10 seconds, but on Castle it could take you up to 20 seconds just to rotate from one side to another. And since it can take up to 10 seconds just to defuse the bomb, that left you with just 10 seconds to clear the site. Now we got a really old map from 2013, Seaside. This map takes place on a dock in the Caribbean and has similarities to Dust 2, like Middle, where the T side get immediate control, while the CTs have to cross a noticeably bigger gap than Dust 2's just to get to the B site. This map is considered pretty legendary, but the design was god awful, because the map was made by somebody who didn't know much about map design at all, in a time where even the veteran map makers barely knew anything. Now, the map was very fast paced, with a lot of open areas and long angles with limited cover, which made it very sniper centric. Then there was also the water surrounding the entire map, which killed you instantly if you fell in. This feature did seem to be hated by a lot of players, but I personally liked the small risk factor, and at the very least it made for some pretty funny moments.
What a way to end it!
Next up we got, I think hands down, the best looking official map for CSGO, SubZero. Released in 2018 and set in the Arctic Circle, this map truly looks stunning, and was also made by the same guy who made Cache, which is pretty clear if you ever played the map, judging by the very lackluster attempt of recreating the notorious jump from Cache. But instead of actually being difficult and an unexpected move, it was turned into the easiest and most expected move ever. Now, I don't want to shit on the map too much, but it was overall kinda mid. I do remember being super excited when it first released, but I played it like twice and I was done with it. Now, I do gotta give the creator some props, because he went through a lot of playtesting and he constantly made changes to it, based off the community's feedback, which honestly might have been the downfall for the map, because you don't really know how good the map truly plays until there's money involved and we have professional players playing in it. Anyway, I just think if he wasn't trying to please the loudest crowd of people, the map could have turned out a lot different, since the map definitely had lots of potential, and the one thing I really liked were the wide range of elevations and unusual angles. Moving on, we got Canals, which had one of the most chaotic map releases I personally gotten to experience. Since when the map first released in 2017, it took players just 24 hours to find an absolutely game-breaking glitch, which allowed you to boost CT players on top of the entire map. And although it was quickly fixed by Valve, just a day later a similar one was found, this time for the Seaside, which kinda balanced things out. Anyway, the map itself was kinda odd. It didn't really have any medium range fights, but rather consisting purely of either extremely close or extremely long angles. There really wasn't anything in the middle, which flipped the meta completely on its head, since now instead of always buying an M4 or an AK, half the time you were better off with an SMG or even a shotgun, especially if you were going B, and honestly I kinda liked it. Last up we got Libary. This map was just absolute chaos and it was amazing. All the map really consisted of was a single room filled with bookshelves, where you could plant the bomb basically anywhere, which makes it the only official map that I know where you could get the bomb down within the first few seconds of the round. And yeah, essentially the map was as simple as they come. It was wild, chaotic, fun and stupid, really fun with friends or even randoms. Really makes me miss the good old days and just honestly makes me sad. I really don't know why Valve doesn't do anything like this anymore. Like, wake up, do something, release a map, an operation, I don't know.